Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and today the highlight of what I'm going to cover here actually comes from another one of Galgitron's blog, and essentially what it covers is every perceivable attack that anyone could place on the XRP Ledger. Every perceivable attack, and anything you could possibly dream up, what that would look like and how it would play out. And then I got a few other fun things for you too. Before we get going here, if you would please delicately tap that thumbs up right there. Don't smash it, just give me a little delicate tap. And please consider subscribing if you don't hate everything that's coming out of my mouth. So this blog came out from Galgitron yesterday, March 12th, now March 13th, titled Impenetrable Consensus. And this was fascinating. He did it in a narrative style a little bit different than what I typically see from him, in that he used this, he basically came up with like a nice narrative, a story he created himself, but it intertwines with the mechanics of how the XRP Ledger operates, and I thought it was really clever. And as I was reading this, at first I thought it was just like an intro piece, so like there'd be an intro, it'd be a narrative. The whole thing is like this, and it just comes across as freaking genius. You guys should definitely read this. It took me about 20 minutes to read through this, which I should probably be embarrassed by, because honestly I'm kind of a slow reader, so see if you can read through it faster than me. But it was cool, because I got to the end of this thing, I was like, wow. Like, Galgitron went through, like, every single potential attack on the XRP Ledger that I've ever seen anyone even bring up. And it's all in one spot here. And that's what I found so cool about it. I mean, he even went on to discuss, right here, highlighted in red, Sybil attacks. And for those of you that aren't aware, a Sybil attack, it's basically a reputation-based attack. Part of the way, and I am not a tech guy, I'm not going to pretend to be, I'm just going to try and share with you what I've learned and convey it verbally the best I can, so forgive me if I get anything slightly off, or if I'm not clear, because I'm still honestly just learning this myself, and I just want to share with you what I learned. That's a big part of the purpose of this channel, really. Just like the community getting together and sharing thoughts, ideas, what we learn. Because I certainly don't know everything. But a Sybil attack, so a reputation-based attack, because part of the way that the XRP Ledger works is, you have your unique node list, and there's a default UNL, but you get to choose what's on your, or if you're an operator, you get to choose what is on your own UNL, who you're actually trusting. So the point being here is, a Sybil attack would be if somebody wants to take over the XRP Ledger, just take over the network, they could just behave very nicely on the ledger for however long it would take to gain trust from everybody else on the ledger. Maybe it would take years, who knows, however long it would take. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, start behaving maliciously. But the problem is, as soon as you do that, all the validators that are not malicious are going to see that, and they're going to stop trusting you. You will be taken off of their unique node list. And so I guess the story there is, trust is hard to gain and easy to lose. Think about that. To put it in another perspective, another way to analogize this, a lot of people in the XRP community, I'll tell you what I do. When I see somebody in the XRP community, in particular on Twitter, or here's a great case, I'm covering Galgitron's blog here. When somebody puts something out there that I value, that I think is awesome, and helps to support the XRP ecosystem, especially insofar as it could help people to understand how it works and the implications of, well, choose a dynamic, really. When I see something out there that I think is valuable, I want to share it. And say I'm sharing, in this case, I'll just use Galgitron as an example, because he's right here, very trustworthy. Of course, I'm just saying, but let's say, like, I trust him for years, and I keep reading the stuff, and then I keep retweeting it. Let's say that he did something malicious, like, I'm actually a Bitcoin maximalist, and you've all been fooled, and this or that. Well, you'd probably lose the trust, and I would no longer retweet his stuff, right? Okay, so not a perfect analogy, because we're talking about technology versus humans, but I thought, insofar as it relates to a Sybil attack, conceptually, it's not that different. And so it's the same thing for me. Sometimes people are nice enough. I don't ask for on Twitter. I don't like ask individuals anyway. I may be like, hey, I appreciate if you like share my videos or anything, or whatever, go ahead. But I certainly don't ask individuals. But people do share my content on their own, individual without me like individually asking them, and I always appreciate that. But I'm just saying, like, if I were doing that and then suddenly I was like, haha, I don't believe in XRP and Ripple are garbage, I'm a Bitcoin maxi, well, people are going to stop trusting me too. So that's the nature of a Sybil attack. And that's just one of the things that, one of the potential attacks that he covered here. But I mean, he talked essentially about what happens if the XRP gets nuked, because, you know, that's my language. I don't think he used that word. But given that IP addresses are known for the validators, well, can't you just take those out? And he goes through that that scenario as well, and then he goes, well, and they really did seem to think of everything. Like David Schwartz and who else created the ledger? I think it was Arthur Brito and Jed, right? So those are the three that come to mind. I can't remember if it's just them, but it seems to me like they thought of every possible terrible thing that could have happened to the XRP ledger. And then, they came up with an actual solution to it. It's fantastic. But, you know, it's probably easier to do that after, you know, Bitcoin had been around for a couple of years and you could see the shortcomings that Bitcoin had. And I'm so thankful that it was created in the first place. But as it turns out, you know, as Galgitron wrote this, because I don't think off the top of my head that I had seen a logical play out of how this would progress if there was an attack in such a fashion in that way. But it turns out, from what Galgitron wrote here, there's actually like a backup restore type node if the network were actually attacked, and it just starts to, as he wrote it in his story, there's a castle, so it would rebuild the castle, basically. So it's just cool. Look, guys, if you have a little bit of time after this video, seriously, read through this, because every single possible attack that you could perceive ever coming down on the XRP ledger, on the network, it's covered right here in the response. And, you know, I think this is kind of where it came from. I wanted to share this with you anyway, actually, so it kind of intertwines. I kind of wanted to cover this anyway, because this thread here on Twitter that's on your screen right now, it was cool. One person responded and said, this has been the most, I can't remember the words that they used, but like the best XRP-related thread that I've seen on Twitter this year. Something to that effect, and I don't remember who wrote that. I'm just pulling from memory from the other day. But I covered, you may remember last week, this guy, nice guy, Bitcoin maximalist. His name's Joe Saz. I don't know if I'm butchering his name. I apologize if so. But he's at Joe_SAZ Saz. I'm guessing it's Saz anyway. And so I watched his, he had this 2-hour video with at Hammertoe, who is Matt Hamilton, another XRP community member I'm a big fan of. And I really enjoyed watching the back and forth that they had. And Joe was learning a lot about the XRP network, and he was doing it in a very earnest fashion, very honest fashion also. And I appreciated that. It's like he's actually trying to learn. And it's not that his mind was necessarily changed, although I don't know how it could not have been after this. You guys, if you saw the 2-hour video on YouTube, man, how could it not be, in my opinion? But anyway, the one thing that I took away after watching all this, because he did seem to like, it seems like to me the way that he was talking, like his eyes were kind of opening up a bit, he's starting to understand more. But one thing that he stood firm on was he has this huge problem with the fact that, as he calls it, XRP was pre-mined, which technically isn't true. There was no mining period. It's just that all the XRP was created at inception. So pre-mining, that's kind of a misnomer. But anyway, I was just responding to him, so here's what I wrote to him, and this was 2 days ago, March 11th. I wrote to him, I really enjoyed your video with at Hammertoe as well. Thanks for putting that together. The thing I'm most confused about after watching is why you still think it's bad that XRP can't be mined. Matt explained XRP Ledger is decentralized, so why does that matter to you? And then I went on working, because this is like, I had a moment in the middle of my work day where I could put that out, and then I had to check back way later, and at that point I had like a bazillion notifications, so I was like, okay, somebody got something going here. And it was neat because Matt Hamilton jumped in here, and he actually answered. I mean, he had points that I maybe perhaps wouldn't have even thought to make, but a lot of the points that he made in this thread here, which I'm going to share with you guys in the links below, it's the same stuff that I wanted to say, because it's things that I know too, most of it anyway, but Matt did such a brilliant job here in pointing out everything that I wanted to point out here. But anyway, here's Joe's response to me. He wrote, central entities printing money without oversight are the problem with the current financial system. A pre-mine is a parallel to that system. Doesn't matter what they promise, because I don't trust people with power to do the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And had I actually responded to that, and I didn't, because Matt just took over here and he was just killing it. He was absolutely killing it. There was no need for me to like come in there and regurgitate what he had already said to answer this. But I would have said something to the effect of, well, okay, you could use the United States as an example. Yeah, government's constantly printing money. Out of thin air, okay? The government's printing money absolutely out of thin air. which too much of that can lead to inflation, and that's a lot of power. And also, it's tantamount to a tax, frankly, because all that happens if the government is going to tax you and take your money, but they need more spending power, all they do is print money that they can use, and then it decreases the value of your dollars. That's inflation. That's what it is. And so, yeah, that can happen. That has happened historically, and that's why fiat currencies don't last that long. I think the average life of fiat currency, I can't remember the stat, so I could be a little up, but I think it's like a few decades or something that I'd have to Google it. So you can fact check me on that, and that's fine. But they don't last that long. And so that's fine. If you don't like that, that's fine. That is not what is happening with the XRP Ledger, though. It just simply is not. There's a finite of XRP, and it's actually a deflationary system. So there's a little bit of XRP that gets burnt with every single transaction, and nobody has the power to print more. So it's not a thing. It can't happen. And so this is a really good read here. I encourage you, if you liked two humans just like putting their thoughts out there in a very honest, friendly, open way, read this. Do yourself a favor and read this, because I love open stuff like this. I love open forums for people. As long as they're being adults, they just put their conflicting views out there, and then people that read that, they get to make their own choice, and you can change minds that way. And so, that's for me, if I'm ever debating a Bitcoin maxi, my goal actually isn't even necessarily to change their mind. It's to help educate, share what I know with people that might be reading it. And sometimes, of course, I don't know everything. Look, I don't know everything. I'm not pretending to. I learn stuff in the process, too. Sometimes I'm wrong about stuff because I'm a human here. But I love this type of communication, so I really strongly encourage you to jump on Twitter and just read this thing. And then at some point, Galgitron jumped in, whose blog I just kind of covered a moment ago. And this was neat here, and you should definitely read the stuff. Man, talk about somebody that knows that. Actually, both these guys. These are in the XP community. When it comes to understanding the tech, these guys, in my mind, are just both heavyweights. They really understand. I'm still learning the specifics, and that's why a lot of the tech stuff I've read through, and I get it when I'm having it explained to me, but I need more repetition so that I could speak off the cuff as easily as these guys do. And I think eventually I'll get there. It's just I think I need that repetition, but I have learned it all at one point, and that's why I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's why XRP is better. That's why it makes sense, and that's why they're if you're Bitcoin maxi, sorry, but 51% attack could be a serious problem. That type of thing. So anyway, I did see, and this was kind of fun to see here. When Galgitron wrote this, it was in one of the threads here within this. There's a lot of branching out on Twitter in terms of threads with comments, the way that they go. But he wrote that this is Galgitron. I do blog a lot after having many discussions on Twitter to really flush out various perspectives. There will be plenty of material to consolidate. Now, mind you, in his conversation right here, which I didn't really discuss here, you just read it if you want to read it. I'll link to it. Part of what they were talking about here, a lot of it was consensus versus proof of work, essentially. They were talking about that. And then a day later, if this is what inspired it, wow. This is a awesome piece of work here. And man, Galgitron, if you wrote this that quickly, props to you, because this thing is awesome. I really enjoyed reading it. So props to you. I love the writing style, and I love the content of it. And, to be honest, I will say, if anybody's reading this and you don't have any understanding of a tech background at all, not that I have some huge major tech background, but if you don't know any of it, you might have a little bit of trouble understanding this, which is fair, in which case just hop on Twitter. This is why it's great. There are people to help you understand stuff. That's where I started. That's where I learned, ultimately, the vast majority of what I learned is through people not just telling me, frankly, blatantly how stuff works, but sharing links with me so that I could go and do some of my own research in addition to that, supplementarily. Words are hard sometimes, guys. Just give me a break. All right. So anyway, I thought that was cool. And this one, I want to share this because it's kind of funny. This is from Mr. BXRP. I love this. And he tweeted out, this is a couple days ago. I've been thinking about sharing this, and I should have just shared it yesterday, because now it's 2 days old. It's aging. It's no good anymore. No. He wrote, what words do you think it's time we stop using? I will start with one. Hodl. Let them rip. And then he wrote another one in response to his own tweet. He just put that out there, and he put, Lambo! Exclamation point. Please, no more Lambo! And then I responded, because my name, of course, my name's Matt, but the name I have on Twitter is Moon Lambo XRP. So I responded, but what about my name? with a bunch of question marks and kind of like a little grinny emoji. And then he wrote, and this cracked me up, his response when I said, "What about my name?" Because it's Moon Lambo. And he wrote, "Double violation." And I just lost it when I read that. I seriously was laughing. I was like, okay, that's fair. I deserve that. So anyway, and then you get down to here. And then at one point I jump back in and I was like, because I know it. I just wrote, I was like, I have the stupidest name in the entire XRP community. And bam, 29 likes. I think it's confirmed. I officially have the most stupid name in the entire XRP community. Follow me on Twitter. So, but hey, just seriously though, for you guys that don't know, actually I may have responded down here for the actual rationale for it. I don't know. I don't want to keep dragging it. Whatever. Well, hey, I've only told the story twice. I'll keep it real short here for those of you that have heard it. I was trying to come up with a name for what to call myself on Twitter, fake name. And I was brainstorming with my girlfriend, Michelle. And then, just out of nowhere, because we already knew, like, the silliness of, this coin's going to the moon, when we get in our Lambo, stuff like that. And so we're brainstorming a name for me for Twitter. And she goes, Moon Lambo. we both just lost it. We were just like, it's absurd. And we were just poking fun about some of the absurdities, the terminology used within the cryptocurrency space. And I was like, yep, that's the one. And why? Because I have a sense of humor. So people on the surface, you see that and you must be like, wow, that person's an idiot. Like, win moon, win Lambo, like that's where I'm coming from. Well, no, if it's not, I'm actually not an idiot. I'm not relying on XRP as my retirement. I'm actually I'm counting on my business continuing to succeed as my retirement. I actually started a business a little over 9 years ago, and it's doing quite well. And we had our best growth year ever in 2018. And so when it comes to XRP, this is a fun thing on the side. I put a little bit of money, just enough that where I'm like, okay, if it really takes off, it could be worth something way down the road. Or if I'm completely wrong and it actually goes to zero, then so be it. It's, I'll be like, that's disappointing because I really enjoyed following it as a hobby. But I didn't, you never want to put in so much that if you lost it all, you'd be devastated. And I certainly have not. I just have fun with this, and I think it's incredible. And I'll tell you, I would say for me at this point, there's 100% chance. I believe there's 100% chance that the cryptocurrency asset class is here to stay. And based on all of the knowledge available today, I'd say, just kind of making up a number, but I'd say there's about a 99.9% chance that XRP is here to stay. Because things can change, or, who knows what's going to happen. Even if there will be some coins that are here today that seem like they're invincible and they're going to be forever, and if you fast forward 5 or 10 years, they're not going to be here. I think XRP has staying power. I just don't technically know that. So what am I most certain about? What am I 100% sure about? That crypto is going to be here. I know that. And the reason is you can have businesses that otherwise could not exist without this technology. And so, of course, if a business idea will better the world, and if it's only possible because of decentralized ledger technology that includes a native digital asset, cryptocurrency, of course, humans are going to value that forever. That's not going to go away, even if one coin here or there goes. And so again, I'm fully confident. I couldn't be more confident in XRP, but even if I'm wrong about that, crypto's here. Ain't going anywhere. It's not. But yeah, so I just thought I'd kind of share that with you because I thought it was funny. And then check out this, too. You guys familiar with Ran Neuner? I swear I know how to say this guy's name. Ran Neuner. He's got a CNBC show, and he tweeted this out. And, if you're not a fan of him, I understand, because he said some negative stuff about XRP in the past, and he's probably more on the side of Bitcoin, frankly. But, okay, whatever. I'm assuming that what he's tweeting here is not in jest. Because, I saw a video of this guy on CNBC this past summer, and it was the Fast Money program, and they're going down the line with all the panelists, and Rand was one of them, and they're having all the panelists go through the top several coins in terms of market cap, and give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, whatever terminology they're using. And then we got to XRP, he goes, throw it in the trash. And I'm sitting there watching this, I'm like, what? I was like, I just want to scream at my screen. I'm like, what are you talking? Throw it in the trash. And he goes, I can't make out what it's used for. And I'm sitting there, I'm shaking my head, I'm like, do you have the internet? I think you do because you're tweeting a lot, okay? I knew that. I'm like, do you know how to use the Google? Can you use the Google? And so he put that up. But to his credit, he did actually end up getting invited to Ripple's headquarters, and he sat down with them, and they explained everything to him. And then after that, he's like, "Yep, I agree. XRP has actual utility." Okay. All right, so good. So he's come around a little bit there, but anyway, so he tweeted out, "And XRP is faster and cheaper than Bitcoin," and that was in response to what Mr. Pompliano here put out. And I'm a fan of him, even though I'm not convinced that he will ever like XRP whatsoever. Whatever, it comes across as a good dude regardless. But he wrote this. Pomp wrote this at a Pompliano. "Bitcoin is cheaper and faster than the most popular remittance platforms." Okay, true. And then you say you've got Western Union, Remitly, MoneyGram, and TransFast. Okay, then you've got Bitcoin right under it. Substantially faster, right? Okay, cheaper. But, and it shouldn't be Ripple. What's the fastest here? It should be XRP. I actually don't know what BitShares is. I meant to Google that before I recorded this, so I don't know. I've got a little homework myself as a result. But anyway, so Ripple, down here at 4-second transactions for Bitcoin on this particular chart, it says 1.3 hours. So presumably if this was created recently, then that's more or less accurate. And so that's why Crypto Man Ran responded the way he did. And he said, "And XRP is faster and cheaper than Bitcoin." So, assuming that's honest, man, credit where it's due, I guess, right? So, I haven't seen a ton of his tweets lately, so if he's still talking trash elsewhere about XRP, then that would make me want to, retract this nice thing I'm saying and acknowledging this. So, hopefully that's not the case. And check out this one too. I had a lot of fun stuff on Twitter. That's basically what I'm sharing with you guys today. I hope that you guys are cool with that type of content, which I don't normally do, but I think it's fun sometimes because that's where a lot of some of the most educational stuff, right? It really does stem from Twitter. As silly as that might sound, because I always thought Twitter was this big cesspool, but turns out there's actually some good people, in particular in the XRP community. So this guy, I've come across this guy before, the Crypto Dog, Bitcoin Maxi guy, and he wrote, "Who is using XLM and XRP for anything, and why is Coinbase adding these coins? Can someone who purchased either of these coins for a reason other than speculation please let me know in the comments below?" And of course, to me, it seems like he's insinuating there's something wrong with purchasing it purely to speculate that businesses are going to adopt the technology. As if there's something wrong with that. There isn't, by the way. There isn't. You do it if you want to. If you don't want to, then don't. That's fine. But at Hammertoe responded, Matt Hamilton here, "I use XRP for many things. To transfer between exchanges/wallets, to monetize my blog and YouTube channel, to buy beer from tips on Twitter via XRP tipbot/YRX." That's awesome, by the way. I like that. And the last one he wrote, "to trade Forex." I thought that was the coolest thing. So this Crypto Dog guy, he thought that there would be 0 responses, and then bam, here you go. So, and then this guy, this seems like a smug comment. I don't know who this is. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know who he is, and maybe I shouldn't jump to conclusions, but he wrote, "Representing the entire XRP community." Why does that have to represent the entire XRP community? Nothing is good enough for you Bitcoin Maxi guys. Jesus. It's crazy. Let's just move on from that. That really steams my vegetables. Check this out. More coins on Coinbase. From CoinDesk here. Stellar Lumens is about to begin trading on Coinbase Pro. Which means, presumably, it's going to also come to standard Coinbase, which has, less than 10 coins still. What does it have? 5, 6, 7? I can't remember off the top of my head. It doesn't have that many, but XRP just got added. So I don't know that this particularly matters, but I wanted to point this out because, it seems to not get cited a whole lot lately, but in theory, XLM, Stellar here, was always, at least the way people would talk, it's this worthy competitor to both Ripple and XRP, as weird as that is, because only one of those is a digital asset. But anyway, the way that businesses are positioning Stellar, XLM, and also XRP, completely different. So to me, I never saw them as not too much. There's not too much overlap there. They're not really stepping on each other's toes. So, I really lately, I don't really see people concerned about, is Stellar going to win? Is Ripple going to win? That's the type of stuff that I'd see people talking about towards the end of 2017 when I was still learning about this. And I was like, oh, well, is there something to this? Well, no. The short answer is no. Not that I'm seeing anyway. Things can change. We're in a ever-changing, evolving environment. But no. But still, I wanted to share that with you just because in a lot of people's minds still, especially those that maybe don't follow stuff on a daily basis, like that and Swift. Those are the major competitors. That's what people think anyway. I don't, but I mean Swift, sure, but not Stellar. Okay. Last piece here. Let's end this video with something fun here. Okay, this is also from CoinDesk. This is titled, "You can pre-order this $15,000 crypto-powered beer vending machine." Guys, I'll take 5. 5 machines. Let's do this. The pre-orders now, all right? Check this out. I actually didn't. Should I click on this thing? I don't know what this is. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is the little pre-order page. I thought this was cool though. So this company, Civic Vending Machine, is what it's called. And you know what? I read through this, and it looks like maybe they're going to have their own coin to actually make this thing work, because they kept writing CVC. I'm guessing that's what the coin is. Maybe it wasn't. Either it wasn't written clearly enough, or I read through this too. Yeah, here we go. Beers cost 200 CVC each. And this goes back to the problem that I stated never made sense to me when I first entered crypto, and it's the issue where you got these, at that point there were about 1,300 different cryptocurrencies listed on CoinMarketCap, and I was like, do you need a coin for everything that exists? And I made the point in like my first video ever. When you go to the grocery store, do you use a grocery store coin? That's only good there. If you're getting a haircut, do you use a haircut coin? That's only good there. And if you're going to buy a beer here, do you use a coin? The CVZ coin in this case is crypto. That's only good there. That sounds like a lot of different types of currencies to keep track of, doesn't it? And I don't know how this is going to pan out. But my thinking evolved not too long after I jumped in the space to say, maybe it's possible. Maybe. And what would that look like? It would have to require an extremely liquid world. You'd have to have, well, first of all, the Interledger protocol adopted en masse. Which it's a protocol. It's not blockchain technology, but it's I talked about it in my last video. So I won't get too much into it, but it's a protocol that connects value, and it doesn't have to just be crypto. It can be crypto to fiat, fiat to crypto, whatever. It can be any coin, and it's such a, in theory, simple protocol in quotation marks there. I'm sure it was hard to make, but limited lines of code, and that's what I mean by simple. That it's truly interoperable. Okay, and that exists. And so if that is adopted, just like TCP/IP connects everyone on the internet, then maybe it's possible that all these coins could exist, but you'd still have to have them. But I guess if you could find a way to have it all automated to where it's not annoying for people to have to use them, maybe then it could make sense. That's the only way that I can see right now where it could make sense. But if people have to manually use them at each different place where they're making payments in their daily lives, no, I don't see that working. So it has to be, first of all, interoperable and automated in my mind. But without those two things, I don't see that taking hold. I don't see that happening. Do you? I don't see a world where that would make sense. I certainly would be irritated as hell. If I had to use a different type of currency for every different type of thing that I wanted to buy. Wouldn't really care for it. But regardless, hey, this is a cool headline. You can buy beer with crypto from a vending machine, and since when you sign up, it's going to know like your age. It said in this article, and so they're going to know if you're old enough to have a beer dispensed to you. Isn't that cool? So I don't know if this is going to work in all countries. I'm guessing not. There's probably going to be certain areas that they're going to be like, yeah, I don't know about this. But nonetheless, it is a fun thing that I thought I'd end the video with. I thought it was a cool little article to read. So that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for listening. I really do appreciate all the support. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea.